Welcome back, everyone, to Cybersecurity Unmasked, the podcast by IT BizTech. You know, last time in episode 9, we were talking about cloud migration and IT support.
Right.
Well, this time we're diving into something a little different, something that's actually pretty important to us here at IT BizTech, and that is the hidden dangers of outdated IT systems.
Yeah. A lot of businesses have that mindset of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But when it comes to IT, it's really not that simple. Outdated systems are more than just a few glitches. They can actually pose huge risks to your business's security, slow down productivity, and, even drive customers away.
Yeah, I mean, we're always talking about security risk, but in our recent blog post, we went a bit further, saying that outdated systems are basically like inviting hackers in. I mean, is it really that serious?
It might sound a bit dramatic, but unfortunately, it's true. Outdated systems are just full of these vulnerabilities that cyber criminals are looking for. Think about it. Outdated systems usually lack those crucial security patches. They have weak encryption. The software might not even be supported anymore. It's pretty much a welcome mat for hackers.
So you're saying it's like leaving your front door wide open?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, remember that WannaCry ransomware attack a few years back? Thousands of businesses around the world were affected, and it was all because they were running outdated Windows systems. If they had just updated their systems, the damage would have been way less severe.
So it's not just about tech, it affects the entire business.
Exactly. Outdated IT can have a ripple effect across your whole operation. Like, let's think about productivity for a second. Those slow processing speeds, the constant crashes, the compatibility issues. It's like trying to run a marathon with weights tied to your ankles.
Yeah, and in our blog, we talk about how crucial speed is in today's world. If your systems are lagging behind, your competitors are going to leave you in the dust.
Imagine this. You're using the latest cloud-based tools to collaborate and automate things while your competitor is stuck with old, clunky software. Who do you think is going to be able to adapt and respond to the market faster?
Yeah, that's a good point. And what about the impact on the customer experience? Nowadays, consumers expect things to be fast and easy. They want websites that work flawlessly, quick checkouts, and instant support.
Exactly. If your website looks like it's straight out of the 90s and your systems are slow and full of bugs, customers are just going to go somewhere else. There's just too much competition out there for them to put up with a bad experience.
And the consequences are real. Our blog post mentioned a study that found that almost 90% of customers won't come back to a business after a bad website experience. That's a lot of lost business.
Yeah. For sure. Outdated IT isn't something that just happens behind the scenes. It directly affects your bottom line by potentially losing you customers. So we've talked about security risks, productivity, and how this can affect customer experience. But what about compatibility? In our blog, we called this the tech graveyard. What does that even mean? It's a pretty accurate description, actually. Technology is always changing, new software applications, and tools are coming out all the time. But here's the thing. These new tools are usually designed to work with the latest operating systems and hardware. Trying to make them work with outdated systems is like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It's just not going to happen.
So you basically get stuck with old tools and processes, which in turn limits innovation and flexibility.
Exactly. And that's not even mentioning the huge costs that come with trying to maintain those old legacy systems. It's practically throwing money away.
Which leads us to another important point that we highlighted in the blog, the hidden costs of clinging to outdated IT just to try and save money. Can you explain that a bit more for our listeners?
Of course. It might seem like you're saving money in the short term by putting off those upgrades. But when you think about all the increased downtime, the higher IT support costs, the risk of security breaches, the loss of productivity, and the potential for major system failures, you realize that holding on to outdated IT actually ends up costing you way more in the long run.
Yeah.
It's like trying to keep that old clunker of a car running when you could be driving something much newer and reliable.
Right. You might save a little up front, but you'll just end up spending way more on repairs later on. Not to mention the stress of it breaking down at the worst possible moment.
Exactly. With IT, being proactive about maintenance and upgrades is going to save you money in the long run compared to dealing with crashes and breaches.
So what can businesses do to avoid falling into this trap of outdated IT? How can they make sure their operations are future-proof?
Our blog post outlines some practical strategies, but maybe we can unpack those a bit more for our listeners. Sure, one of the simplest things you can do is keep your software up to date with the latest patches. I know it sounds super basic, but so many businesses just don't do this.
It's true. And I get it. Some people see updates as more of a hassle than anything. They always seem to pop up at the worst times.
Yeah.
But how would you respond to someone who sees updates as just an annoyance?
Well, I understand the frustration, But those updates are really important. They often come with essential security patches that fix vulnerabilities that hackers could use. Think of it like this. You wouldn't leave your front door unlocked, right? Updates are like locking those digital doors and windows, making it much harder for cybercriminals to get in. And the good news is most software nowadays lets you schedule those updates automatically so you can set it and forget it.
That's a great point. Another strategy we're big on here at IT BizTech is embracing the cloud. We've talked about cloud migration in previous episodes, but can you remind our listeners about the benefits, especially in the context of outdated IT?
Of course, cloud-based solutions offer so many advantages. They're really scalable, meaning you can easily adjust your resources as your business grows without needing to invest in tons of new hardware. It's like having an IT infrastructure that can expand and contract as needed.
Right, so it's especially beneficial for businesses that are growing quickly or have seasonal changes in demand. They don't need to overspend on IT that they might not always need.
Exactly. And then there's security. Cloud providers are really serious about security. They invest a lot in the best security measures, often way more than most businesses could afford on their own. So by moving to the cloud, you're basically getting access to their expertise and resources.
It's like having a whole team of security experts protecting your data around the clock.
That's a great way to put it. And another big advantage of the cloud is collaboration. Teams can work together from anywhere seamlessly. They have access to shared files, real-time communication tools, and all the same applications and data. It's a game changer for productivity and efficiency.
So we've got software updates, cloud migration. What else is there?
Let's not forget about hardware refresh cycles. It's easy to get caught up in software, but hardware is just as important. Think about it. You wouldn't keep driving a car with hundreds of thousands of miles on it without expecting some problems, right? It's the same with hardware. You need to replace old devices regularly.
Some businesses might argue that constantly replacing hardware is expensive. What do you say to that?
Well, there is an upfront cost, but have you considered the cost of not replacing it? Think about how much productivity you lose with slow devices, the risk of losing data if a hard drive crashes, and the potential security risks of old hardware. Not to mention the cost of those emergency repairs when something inevitably breaks down. Regular hardware refreshes actually end up saving you money in the long run.
It's like preventative health care for your IT systems.
Yeah.
It's better to take care of potential problems before they become major issues.
Exactly. Plus, new hardware is often more energy efficient, which can lower your energy bills. Another thing to consider.
True. Now, we can't talk about future-proofing without bringing up cybersecurity upgrades. What are some of the must-haves for businesses in today's threat landscape?
Cybersecurity has to be at the top of the list for any business. A strong firewall is your first line of defense. It acts like a shield against any unauthorized access to your network. Then you have encryption, which basically protects your sensitive data both when it's being transmitted and when it's stored. It's like putting all your confidential information in a vault that only authorized people can open.
And of course, we can't forget about multi-factor authentication.
Right. MFA adds another layer of security by making users prove who they are in a couple different ways. It's like having a double lock on your front door. Even if someone manages to steal a password, they still can't get in without that second factor.
So it's all about layering your security measures, making it as hard as possible for cybercriminals to break through.
Absolutely. And that leads us to our final future-proofing strategy, partnering with IT experts.
Of course, we had to mention this one. But seriously, why is it so important for businesses to work with companies like IT BizTech?
Well, technology is incredibly complex these days. It's really hard for most businesses to have all the knowledge they need to manage their IT effectively in-house. By partnering with an IT consulting or managed services provider, you get access to a whole team of experts who can handle everything from planning and implementation to ongoing maintenance and support. It's like having a whole IT department without the costs of hiring and managing a full-time staff.
So it's about having that peace of mind, knowing that your IT is in good hands with professionals who are always staying up to date.
Exactly. And here at IT BizTech, we're really passionate about helping businesses use technology to their advantage. We know that every business is different, so we create custom solutions that fit your specific needs and goals.
So to recap, we've talked about the many dangers of outdated IT systems, from security and productivity issues to negative customer experiences and hidden costs. We also discuss practical ways to future-proof your business, like updating software, embracing the cloud planning for hardware refreshes, prioritizing cybersecurity, and partnering with IT experts.
The key takeaway here is this: investing in modern technology is not an option. It's essential for any business that wants to succeed in today's digital world. Don't let outdated IT hold you back.
We've seen how outdated technology can really hurt businesses, while using modern solutions can completely transform how they operate. It's the difference between struggling to stay afloat and riding the wave of innovation.
Yeah, it really is like choosing between sailing in a rickety old boat or a sleek new yacht.
Exactly. And just like you wouldn't set sail on a bad boat, choosing the right technology is so important for success these days.
We hope this deep dive has helped our listeners understand just how dangerous those hidden, outdated IT systems can be. It's not just about little annoyances, it's about protecting your entire business, your data, and your reputation. And, you don't have to figure this all out alone. That's what IT BizTech is here for. We offer all sorts of services like IT consulting managed services, cybersecurity assessments, cloud migration support, you name it.
We love helping businesses use technology to reach their goals and stay ahead of the game. If you're feeling overwhelmed or not sure where to start, just reach out to us for a free consultation.
We'll take a look at your IT infrastructure, find any potential weaknesses, and then help you come up with a plan to make your business more secure, more efficient, and ready for the future.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Cybersecurity Unmasked.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to leave you with something to think about. Imagine your IT infrastructure is like the foundation of your business. If that foundation is weak and crumbling, the whole thing is at risk. But if you build on a strong, modern, and secure foundation, you can create a business that's resilient and adaptable and ready for anything.
That's a great way to put it. It reminds us that IT isn't just a cost, it's an investment in the future of your business.
Exactly. So invest wisely, stay informed, and never underestimate the power of technology when it's modern and well-maintained.
Thanks for joining us on Cybersecurity Unmasked. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the exciting world of cybersecurity. Until then, stay safe, stay secure, and stay ahead of the curve.